You are listening to the Starling Tribune, a podcast dedicated to the Arrow TV show.
This guy gets more airtime than the Kardashians, right?
This podcast is not produced or maintained by the CW, Warner Brothers Television, CTV, or DC Comics. All characters, situations, and stories are the properties of Time Warner. I am the Oracle, and this is your Tribune.
And your reporters for this fourth episode of Season 4 of the Starling Tribune. I am Stargate Pioneer. My friends, like Chris, call me SP. And with me is Chris.
I'm no saint, but at least I'm not a criminal.
I'm just not used to this chair yet. This
Nice.
podcast is recorded on Thursday, October 29th, 2015. Live on the Blab streaming service. Hey, we're just a few guys that regularly get together and discuss the TV show Arrow. And just a little reminder that I am not, unfortunately, a comic expert. I'm really a sci-fi guy, and it's killing me that I don't have a Star Wars podcast right now. But catching up with the comic lore, and with the help of great people like my co-host Neil, who's not here this week, and Chris.
I'm a self-appointed comic expert.
As much comics as you read, I think you deserve the title. And just a little reminder, we will be spoiling all of the information that occurred last night on Arrow. And we'll also talk a little bit about the news and notes of upcoming stuff. So if you don't want to be spoiled at all when we get to the news section, you won't offend us if you leave. But we will be talking about the little snippets they give us. And actually, there is a big spoiler in the notes this week. And we will get to that later, of course. But hey, you can also catch up to all of our shows in the past, our rewatch shows in our archive, which can be found at GonnaGeekNetwork.com. I like saying that.
Snap.
So, Chris, what do we got this week for an episode?
This week, we're talking about episode 4 in season 4. It's called Redemption, which aired Wednesday, October 28th. As we record this, that's yesterday. It was directed by Lexi Alexander and written by Beth Schwartz and Ben Sokolowski. I can't say it. Sorry, Ben.
I couldn't do any better. So, I mean, you're getting the two guys that screw up on names. Sorry, Ben.
Yeah, Neil's the one that can say names here. I'm the one that's like, how do I say thee?
I had a chance to look up their IMDb, all three of them. Did you get a chance, Chris?
I did not.
Yeah, so Lexi Alexander is one heck of a martial artist. She has been, obviously she's been involved with choreography, that sort of stuff, but she's not really an accomplished director. And I think for this episode, she did a bang up job on her, basically her first time out of the gate. It's amazing. Now, she's been involved in the series before. She's been involved in TV before, but this was really her first main directing credit, at least that I saw on IMDb. And then Beth and Ben, the writers of the show, also, they're not really experienced. They do have a few episodes here and there underneath their belts, but I think the three of them did an amazing job for being such a young, inexperienced crew. So well done, folks. Well,
it was a great team effort. This was a very solid episode of Arrow this week.
Yep, it definitely was. It was a great team effort all around, behind the scenes and in front of the camera. So that is awesome. So we'll get right into it with what do you want to start with, talk about first? Because we got a lot of great notes here.
Oh, man, there's a lot of good stuff. Let's just start with the big thing we've been waiting for a while on the new Arrowcave.
Oh, it's
or
awesome.
The new Quiver, or whatever we want to call it. It's just friggin' awesome.
Now, I was taking a look at it. It looked like the basic same set that was the basement of the Foundry, or basically the same thing that they had in either the basement or wherever it was in Palmer Tech, but it was expanded. They blew out the sides. They blew out the back. They had the big ops floor in the center, and it was awesome. But what do you want to talk about first?
The biometric lock thing was ridiculous. I can say that because that's my background from schooling.
and the actual lockers were something like compositely made or something like that. So it'd be impossible to get into.
It certainly looked cool on screen, though. That's what they were going for.
What I noticed, since I've just recently bought a second bigger monitor, was instead of using the tilted slab monitors like they had last season, they went with the curved monitors. So each workstation, I think there was about 3 of them, had nice, big, huge, like 27-inch curved, or 35-inch. I don't know what they were, curved
Yeah.
monitors. So the whole desk like curved around. I'm like, that's what I want. I'm so jealous. That is awesome.
Felicity and Star Labs went all out on this. And I do have to say, it was pretty cool. They're like, yeah, Cisco helped us do this.
Of course, everything is Cisco'd. Okay. Unfortunately, they were experiencing technical difficulties throughout the episode. And of course, there was Felicity with her phone back at Palmer Tech. Now it's happening in the Lair. Do you think it's related? Do you think what's happening in the Lair is Ray? It's Ray, right? Yeah,
It's
Ray.
Ray, yeah.
I was getting confused. You think it's Ray that's doing it in the Lair too?
I think that's what they want us to think, and I think it's what makes sense. But you know me, I like my conspiracy theories, so I've been trying to figure out something else, and I have no clue. I can't come up with what the something else would be right now, unless it's just Malcolm going, hey, 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 let me screw with you. But I don't really see it being Malcolm.
Yeah, he's not really tech savvy. He'd have to have a tech expert come in. And same with Damian. I think they both would have to have tech experts come in and do that. And I don't think there's anybody in Starling City. Oh, what about that hacker that they had that one episode over in Flash?
That's possible, I guess. I don't know. I think it's probably Ray Palmer, or if you want to get really conspiracy theory I don't know if that's the right way to say it. We'll go with it though. It's some kind of setup for Legends of Tomorrow. They're dialing in so that they can deposit someone in the Arrowcave.
Ooh.
I don't think that's the case, but I have to do a patented Chris Farrell conspiracy as to what's going on in the Quiver.
It was left wide open. I just assumed it was Ray, but you're right. It could be anything. It's not the same interference that she's getting over in Palmer Tech.
Right, but it seems like it could potentially be related, especially if he's trying to dial into her cell phone or something like that, or say it's not necessarily him interfacing with the electronics at the Palmer Tech building, but he's the atom, he's miniature in size. He could literally be in the electronics and be physically screwing with something in there that's causing power issues. I don't know. I think it's Ray in some way, shape, or form.
I think it was really neat at the end where Felicity was watching the episode, and Chris and I both edit podcasts, right? We edit the audio form, and I'm looking at that going, oh, I know what that is. I see that all the time. The little waveform for the audio.
Hey, at least Ray wasn't clipping.
That's right. It was nice and
it was nice waveform, solid, and this is such an inside baseball joke that everyone's like, oh, guys, shut up.
And we're podcast producers. That's what you get. So yeah, the new cave was awesome. You know, at some point in time, it's going to get broken into, and there's going to be an awesome battle scene in there. But in the meantime, I'm so glad we're back in Starling City.
Yes.
We got shirtless Ollie on the salmon ladder, something that hasn't happened in a while. And you could tell he was just like, yeah, guys, I still got it. I could do this. And we're probably not going to see it again this entire season.
Did you see Lord Mace, who does all the artwork? He's an artist on the side that does different pictures from Arrow and Supergirl. Did you see the picture he did from the Arrowcave?
No, I didn't.
It's literally Cisco and Felicity standing there. And Cisco's like, now, why did you want this in the cave? And she's like, oh, I have reasons. Very good reasons. Or something to that effect.
Sure, that was great. Oh, and just when she walked by and you could see her start kind of drooling a little bit. And she was like, oh. And I'm like, well, she can see that every night, but I guess, a little tease during the day is always
It's a flashback to OTA, original Team Arrow moments right there, man.
There you go. OTA, baby. It's great. So I think we've exhausted everything in the Arrowcave or Lair or whatever you want to call it, unless you got something else.
I do have something else, but we'll get to it later in the show, because we did have our first guest in the Arrowcave show up. Like in the first episode it debuts. I'm like, really? Really? What's going on here?
Felicity calls it out too. That was great. Okay, so talking about that, Ollie and Lance are back and forth. And Ollie, man, the first time he breaks into Quentin's apartment, holy crap, he went off. Don't hide behind your daughters. I was like, holy crap.
Oh, man, it was such a good scene. He and Paul Blackthorne, they just played off of each other so well there. I mean, Paul Blackthorne, we've read before, is incredibly method. So I wonder how he got himself in that mindset to do it. But, man, you could just see the conflict that Ollie had, and me like, this guy I looked up to, who's always been this paragon of virtue, does the right thing, he's not at all what I thought, and how that shatters Oliver's belief in a lot of things.
Right. I know. I would hate to be Stephen Amell's kid after seeing that. I'm like, holy crap, if I ever get the lecture, the yelling dad or whatever, which could possibly happen. I don't know what kind of a parent he really is, but I'm like, oh my gosh, don't piss dad off. Just don't do it. Don't do it. So yeah, that entire scene, both of the scenes really were very powerful, where it just captivated you so much because we have seen Quentin and OLLIE go through so much. And then OLLIE admitting to Quentin that he is running for mayor basically because he was inspired and basically wanted his approval by Quentin. And it was just powerful scene. The fourth season in this, it was just a very, very powerful scene to have.
Right, and I fully admit I watch Arrow about 15 minutes behind the live stream, so I don't have to, or behind live time, I guess, so I don't have to watch commercials. I made the mistake of going on Twitter looking for something, and I saw something that's like, wow, incredibly intense scene between OLLIE and Lance, really good. I'm like, ooh, something good's about to happen, and it knocked my socks off. I know people criticized the show early in its run for being very wooden at times. I would challenge some of those folks that might have said that in the early run of Arrow. Go and watch this episode, specifically that scene, and you'll be like, holy crap. It's just so well done. Both actors were just on top of their game, and I don't know how you get in a mindset to be like that, because both characters are absolutely crushed by what's been going on around them, and they're just absolutely lost and destroyed.
Right. It was an amazing episode to watch. I was so grateful I actually watched it twice, and I watched it the second time on the treadmill tonight when I was taking notes, and I was just like awe-inspired, and I had to force myself to take notes because I was so captivated by the whole thing. It was really, and there were some moments you're like, oh man, I can't believe it, but mostly it was all good. I mean, and when I say, oh, I can't believe that, it's like shock value, not like,
right,
I can't believe this is happening on the show. So that is all cool. But yeah, this episode I will remember a while. And I'm going to take it a step further here, Chris. We've talked about it before. They foreshadowed the basically the funeral scene, the graveyard scene.
Yep.
And so after this, they have my attention more and more that it's actually Quentin.
Oh, I think so too. After we had that scene between them, I was like, oh, it's totally going to be him, because they're finally getting together back on the same page after having a fallout for so long. And then I don't know. I don't even know how to put it. It's definitely him, but it's not. Paul Blackthorne got two great moments in this episode, though. I mentioned that because
we got more than two.
Yeah, well, yeah, two that I can think of off the top of my head. Because Steven asked in the live chat we go on, he goes, "How hard was it watching Lance's attempt to put Sara down?" Holy crap, it was super, super tough. Just the look on his face that entire time, I was like, "Oh my god."
It was. He's like, "Oh baby, I'm so sorry, but you're not you," and largely because Damian said her soul wasn't in her, which could be true, right? But
right.
I'm amazed that he didn't ask anybody else. He just went to Damian. He didn't get a second opinion or anything. It's just Damian said, "I'm sorry, if she was my daughter, I'd put her down." Like, you're going to take that advice from Damian?
I don't think he knows who else to go to in that one. I mean, we already know who they're going to next week, but I don't know that he's not on the same page as Oliver at that point in time still. This is Lance's sky is falling while this is going on. This is just another brick falling from the sky as everything collapses around him.
Right. True enough. And he never reaches out to Oliver. And I don't think Laurel tells him that Oliver doesn't know, but she might have.
It could have been an off-camera thing, and the assumption is that that Lance knows, Oliver doesn't know, but it is not explicitly said.
Right. So it's just kind of amazing stuff, this entire episode. And again, Paul Blackthorne, this is an amazing episode for him, and it was an amazing episode for Stephen Amell to play along. Basically, Stephen Amell played Paul's, supporting actor, and that's really tough to say because he is the lead of the show, but he was basically Paul's supporting actor in the show. Talking about Sara, all right, she's going nuts. She's
right. Bat-esque crazy.
Chris, you did a Walking Dead podcast, right?
Yes.
Did it give you any hints of maybe Herschel with the barn or the governor with the fish tanks.
Ooh, yeah, it was very governor-esque. The look in her eyes, just that glassy-eyed stare off into nowhere where something nuts is going on.
I know. And so she's watching these pictures. She's starting to get to know stuff. I think she even talked a little bit, said a word or two, like dad or sister or something like that. I can't remember the exact words, but she was coming around. It's taking a while. So what do you think? Do you think she got loose, or do you think Damian came and got her?
I think she got loose. I mean, she's a trained assassin. She knows how to kill. She did it for years. Locks are not a big thing to stop her. They're just basic key locks. That's not going to be a problem for a trained League of Assassins member to get out of. Now, granted, she's crazy, but she's gradually getting back together. Everything's starting to fall back in her head, but she still has that bloodlust like we've seen Thea have, and it's arguably going to be worse for her because she was dead for a long, long time. And I think that she is basically trying to escape to go kill the girl that killed her. She's going to go after Thea, is what's going to happen.
I was thinking as well. I had a conversation with somebody, and they said that perhaps she will know that it was really Malcolm that was the evil one. So if she can transfer that to Malcolm, at least she won't go after Thea anymore. But nobody's telling her that. As far as she knows, Thea is the one that drew the arrow.
Yeah, the last thing she saw was getting shot by 2 arrows, 3 arrows?
I think it was 3, wasn't it? Pretty sure.
But I don't remember 100%, I'll be honest. So if somebody does in the chat room, let us know. But while we're talking about bloodlust, Adam had a question that we'll bring up. He asked, do we think Constantine's going to cure Thea's bloodlust too? No, because I think it's too simple.
Really?
Yeah. I think she's going to struggle with it for a long time. She's not going to admit that she has it. I think it's going to be what it is. Oliver's seen that she's kind of slightly unhinged, but what Malcolm told her about how it needs to be cured, she's not going to tell Oliver that part. Because ironically, Oliver, the king of secrets, who's not keeping them now, everyone's keeping secrets from Oliver.
That's true. Nobody's telling him. That's right. Hey, he kept the office a secret and the Lair a secret, but
that was a good secret.
A surprise, right? Yeah. Yeah. And Laurel is not keeping secrets from her father, and Diggle is not keeping secrets from Laurel. Laurel's open right now. She's telling everybody everything, and I think the whole series would have gone a lot easier had Moira disclosed everything, had Oliver disclosed everything, had Thea disclosed everything, had Roy disclosed everything. I think the series would have gone a lot better. Now, they would still have villains to fight, but you wouldn't have those CW relationship sort of moments. So, yeah, definitely. Okay. I thought that there was a possibility that Sara was freed by Damian, but I like it
from a conspiracy theory standpoint.
That's right. But it's probably she's an assassin. She has the skills. She's got loose. So I could definitely see that as well. Okay. I was half right? So the Lair wasn't under City Hall, but it was under his campaign headquarters. So I call that close. It's not
close enough. You get the point. Close enough. I also like the fact that it's a repurposing of Brother Blood's old office space from where he ran for mayor and became mayor. So I thought that was a nice callback to season 2.
Yeah, they're reusing sets left and right. I think that was the same set as the law office from season 1 that Laurel worked at. Yeah, so and there was a couple other sets that I saw this week that I'm like, that's just repurposed. But, okay, I'll run with it. It's not a high budget thing. They don't have a new location every time. They got to repurpose stuff. Right. So I'll go with it. Yeah, so the new Lair, we talked about it before, but it in the basement is great. And then when they come to the office to begin with, Thea's like, "Oh, you're not wearing it." And I was like, what? I assumed the first time I saw this. Now, let me see what you think about this. The first time I saw it, I was like, oh, you mean Oliver's not in his Green Arrow costume, but it's like bright daylight. So I'm like, I don't know what she's talking about. It took me to the second watch through to figure it out. So, Chris, what were your thoughts about that?
Oh, I thought as soon as she said it that she was referencing the engagement ring we'd seen Oliver hiding. I assumed that Thea had found its not so great hiding spot in the loft and assumed that it was coming soon. I figure it's probably a scene that was like cut that we didn't get, but off scene and off camera, she's found the ring and it's like, oh my God, he's going to do it. And I think it's going to be kind of an overarching thing for a while now.
And Diggle said he was grinning from ear to ear, and Yeah, it was all laid in. Well, I totally missed that the first time around.
I could see why you'd think it'd be the Arrow costume too, but I didn't think he'd wear it. He's trying to pretend like he has a secret identity for a while at least. Not everyone knows he's the Green Arrow yet. They know he used to be the Arrow, but
that's true. Or the Hood or the Vigilante.
or the Hood. I mean, ironically, all the important people except Damian Darhk know who the Green Arrow is. So I'm just wondering when Damian Darhk's going to find out.
That's a good question. I'm surprised I didn't see this in the notes, but Oliver, you brought up the sleeves last time around. I think he needs a little more well-rounded Kevlar on his costume.
Yeah, so I was talking to the girlfriend about that. I was like, didn't he take basically the equivalent of like 2 or 3 playing card knives to the chest last week that didn't even pierce the armor, and now someone throws a knife at him and it sinks in at least 2-3 inches? You would think the back would be more armored.
Right. You think. Stabbed in the back. And then he's walking around like nothing happened, right? The knife's in him like 3 inches.
Well, you
or
know
something
why.
Like that.
He's got magic herbs from Lian Yu still. He's fine. He just takes some of those herbs and he's like, yeah.
It's not herbs. It's like the heroin and cocaine mixed together.
He got some of those blue poppy seeds from his time on the island and brought them back with him. He takes those whenever he gets beat up.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. He'll pull the stitches out. It'll be fine.
Just fine. Give me more of those drugs.
Exactly. Lots of callbacks in this episode, including password.
Oh yes, that was hilarious.
Because I thought the password might be Felicity. I didn't remember it. It was, and then I saw her type in password. I'm like, oh, SP, you're stupid. Should have remembered that. It's password.
A nice callback. I mean, it's the simplest thing ever, and ironically, in the tech sphere, people never think about it because it's the most simple thing to make. Password is password when they're assigning temporary things. So it was a nice play when they did it in season 3, where he was like, "I can't figure out this password." Oh, it's literally a password, and to have that be what Felicity has to remember, because I didn't get it until the end either. And then she started typing in, and I went, "Oh." It was well done.
So Stephen brought up a question in the chat about how the whole city knows he's Arrow. We've discussed this on the show before. He was pretty open about discussing it in the street with Diggle from time to time, and people overheard it. So we came to the conclusion, I think this was back in season 2, or it might have been even in season 1, that the only person that didn't know he was the Arrow in Starling City was Quentin. And now Quentin knows, so yeah, everybody knows he was the Arrow.
Now Quentin's the only one that knows officially. I know everyone thought they did. Now they think it's Roy. It's all so confusing.
I'm so confused. Okay, so the second club that I did go to, not Thea's club, which she does name drop. So the Verdant still does exist. It's because she said she had a successful nightclub.
Yes,
and that's
being the emphasis.
Well, okay. But this nightclub was named Opus Squared or Opus 2. Does that ring any bells to you in the comics? A name drop, maybe an artist of a comic or something like that?
No, all I could think was like Magnum Opus, which I knew that wasn't the case.
And it was purple too, if that is any indication.
Yeah,
so, okay, next week when Neil comes back, we'll ask Neil because he knows everything. Neil.
So I went and Googled it real quick, and Opus 2 is a violin piano duo. So I don't think that's the case here.
No, it's got to be something comic related.
That's what I'm thinking too. And we're probably just missing it. And I didn't see anyone mention as an Easter egg any mention of what Opus 2 was. So if you guys know better watching live, let us know in the chat room. We'll bring it up. Otherwise, it's a question for next week. So we leave it to our listeners. Let us know.
Absolutely. Okay. So we talked about it at the beginning of the show. This was done. The director was basically a choreographer, a fighter herself. And the fight scenes were just amazing. Now, we didn't have, I guess we did, but it wasn't dispersed fights. It was all generally in the same area. You had multiple things going on, but you had multiple fighters going on in each specific case. Like in one instance at the end in the warehouse, Thea and Laurel were taking on a couple of the cops themselves, and they were whipping around and doing a bunch of stuff. So it was amazing, the movement that was seen in this episode, and also a lot of trick arrows. So, I mean,
I love the trick arrows.
Great.
Anytime they can bring out one of the trick arrows, I'm like, Did Cisco make that one too?
Exactly. Although he could make the string that ties somebody up to a pole a little bit stronger so they can't cut through it.
Yeah, that was convenient for the plot so that she could get out and then choke him with it. Because I figured it would be something a little more durable that would take a while to saw through. Because she only had to saw at it for like, what, 20 seconds maybe?
Yeah, it wasn't long at all. But amazing that the vigilante task force actually had weapons to go against vigilantes, and then the vigilantes countered it, or
Yes.
Team Arrow or whatever countered it at the end.
It's a vigilante arms race, man.
Or I was like, different frequency, same cry. Man, she threw that guy back into the truck. That was amazing.
It was pretty sweet.
Sara would be proud. All right, so we talked about it before. I think it was last episode of the episode before. It's like, okay, so you kill one of the guards on the island. I'm talking about the flashback now via landmine, and they don't question it. It's like, oh, okay, we lost whoever, whatever his name was. I think it was Richard this time around, but we lost whoever. He died in a landmine. Okay, do you want a spot? Like, you don't check the guy out at all or whatever. So we talked about it before, and now Conklin's like, hey, wait a minute. 2 guys, 2 landmines, and they were both by you when it happened.
This is a coincidence now.
Ryan Robbins is coming true to form. He's like, oh, yeah, you're a cold-hearted killer. And by the way, so am I. So it's awesome. Ryan's doing a great job as Conklin.
I think the flashback this week's just pretty much a lot of setup for what we're going to get later. He's basically got the woman whose name I don't know if we've actually gotten. She's secured in the cave where he originally was washed ashore and Yao Fei was taking care of him. And she's going to come into play in some way, shape, or form. I'm assuming has a love interest of some kind in the flashbacks. Because ladies love OLLIE.
Talk about callbacks. He did the death fake thing.
Yep.
That was a callback to season 1, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. You were getting a lot of nice callbacks to season 1 with the flashbacks right now. So our flashbacks are going to start flashing back soon if we're not careful.
Oh, and okay, we're kind of 1 for 2 because we all said that they were going to head to the plane, and they didn't. They headed to the cave instead.
I said the cave was a possibility, though, too, if I recall correctly.
We did bring up the cave, but we were all like, yeah, the plane would be an easier set, and we were all wrong. So they go back to the cave. Oh, yeah, were the red berries out to the left? Don't eat those. No,
that was a nice little touch.
It was. So, yeah, the cave. We're back in the cave where OLLIE had his vision of his father and killed the chicken, all that with what was his name? I want to say Yao Fei.
Yao Fei, yeah.
Yao Fei, yeah. So back there, and it's all great. And so that stupid satellite communication tablet, which I absolutely hate and don't think should exist right now, came up again.
He should have hidden it better. Why didn't he hide that in the cave?
Well, he would have been seen.
That's true.
But it should have been hidden a little bit better than just on the edge of the forest. I mean, I would have put it like in the forest a little bit.
Oliver knows the island better than anyone there. You would assume he'd know some good hiding spots for stuff. I think it was... Okay, this is going to sound overly criticizing, but it's not really intended. Just convenient for moving the story along to make it easily found.
Right. Plot requires. But now things are going to get a little heated next time around.
That's true. So do you think Oliver's going to kill Conklin? Or is he going to spin a story of some kind? Like, I have no idea what this is. You must have a spy in your midst.
He could spin that, but I don't think it's going to work because the only person they've seen is Oliver.
Yeah, that's why I think that's tough to do. So I don't know how he's going to get out of it, but seeing as it's this early in the season, I assume he's going to get out of it because it'd be very early for him to start having to have guerrilla warfare against all these guys for all the flashbacks. Because I assume that's where it's going, is Oliver using the island to his advantage to take these guys out gradually.
Right. So I am thinking back to season 2 flashbacks where Fry had the camera set up on the island, or was that season 1? I think it was season 2.
Season 1 was Friars.
Okay, Friars. So they still have the infrared cameras that are there. I don't know if they work or not. I mean, it is a jungle environment, so I don't know if they got overrun or what was powering them or anything.
Well, I mean, they're 2 or 3 years old at least at that point. So in that kind of condition, who knows?
Yeah, right. So using the island against them, there's a bunch of stuff on the island. It doesn't have to be technology, but
Right.
there's probably weapon caches there and everything. I don't know. We'll see. What a tremendous setup on the island, but the real action was in Starling City modern time.
Yeah, this was a lot of setup for the rest of the flashbacks, and I'm okay with it because everything going on in Starling City, the flashbacks were a nice break from it. It gave you a break in the action. You're like, okay, I can take a breath now. Ooh.
Yeah, there's been a lot of great episodes in the last season or so, last 20 episodes or whatever. This was a good episode. Not necessarily maybe the best episode ever, but it is on the better scale.
No, yeah, definitely. Yeah. It was solid all around. There was nothing that had me going, what the hell? Or
That's
why'd
right.
you do that?
Hey, what's going on? Although I did notice, and it's hard to say I noticed this after the fact, but I did notice that they were talking in front of the police car because I saw the red lights in the grill of the police car.
It was convenient placement, that's for sure.
Right. So it was good that they did that in the callbacks in order to get the picture and us not worry about it. But I was like, dude, you should know you're a cop and you probably have some sort of monitoring on there, especially with everything that's gone on, in the United States, at least in the last year, where cops wearing cameras is a big deal. Like, dude, point the car another way so that you don't get the camera on you. But
so I do have to say in that scene, I really enjoyed the fact that Damian Darhk is just so chill about everything. He's leaning back on a car. He's not threatened at all by Quentin Lance there. Either he doesn't see him as a threat physically, or he just doesn't think he'll turn on him because the threat of something happening to his daughter is too worrisome. So I like the way Neil McDonough pulled that off. He's just like, yeah, whatever. I'm not afraid of you.
I know. And at the end, he just turned around and left and went to the back door of the car to get in the back seat. It was great. Okay. I don't have this in the show notes, but I did notice on my second rewatch at the end when they cut to Damian and Quentin sitting in Damian's lair or whatever, there was a box brought out and it was different than the cabinet that he was dealing with before. Is it the same thing or is it something different? What's in the box?
I think it's going to have to be something related to his powers. That's all I can think. I honestly have no idea, but we know where they're going down the mystical route this season in Arrow. That's part of the reason why John Constantine's coming in next week. And in fact, the show producers even said we're doing mystical stuff. So the assumption is Damian's powers are mystical. They're not metahuman abilities. So I think we'll find that something in the box plus his altar is what's responsible for empowering him.
Yep. I can't wait. I watched the preview for next week and I'm like, oh, this is going to be so good.
I can't wait for John Constantine next week.
It's going to be good. All right. Do you have anything else about the episode?
I don't, but we actually had a question from one of our viewers. Cajun Sean had asked us, when do we think Felicity and Diggle are getting their code names earlier in the show?
Quentin brought up, what, don't I get a code name? And he went from Captain Lance to Detective. So that's his code name, Detective.
So Quentin's only been back with Team Arrow for less than an episode, and he's already got a code name, but Felicity and Diggle can't get one. I mean, Diggles could just end up being like bodyguard or something like that, because that's basically what he is. Oh, and side note, I love the callback of Diggle as a bodyguard again this week.
That was great. He probably still has his licenses and everything, and he's just standing there like, I'm the bodyguard. It's like, he does that role so well.
Okay, so side note, something that I have not been able to figure out. Since Oliver Queen went broke last season, what is John Diggle's job now?
I was thinking that too. Like, where is he getting money from? Especially since Lila is not employed by Argus anymore. So
maybe Argus has a great 401k or something.
I guess. Well, I would think. Well, I don't know if he went 20 years to get his retirement from the military. There could be that assumption that he's getting a little bit, and then maybe there's death benefits from Andy that he got as well. But I would think that would go to Andy's family.
So we do have a suggestion from one of our viewers for a potential code name for Diggle being Diggity Dog.
Diggity Dog.
There's actually a hot dog place in town here called Diggity Dog Hot Dogs. So it would. I would laugh
hot
so
dogs. Gonna have to go get one after the show. All right. Are you done with the episode?
It's all I can think of off the top of my head. I'm sure random stuff is going to pop in my head as we go on. There was a lot going on this episode, but in a good way. It's not like they were just time filling. They're just setting up so much stuff, and there was so much payoff for things.
Oh, it was great. And there's going to be more payoff. It's great. So, listener, if we have missed something that you want to hear, please get a hold of us on our voicemail line or email me, stargatepioneer@gonnageek.com. You can also email Chris, and you're Chris at gonnageek.com.
Chris at gonnageek.com.
Yeah. You can email us. You can tweet us at Starling Tribune. You can get us on Facebook. Just go to our contact page, which is starlingtribune.com. And on the top right-hand side, you find all the great ways to get in touch with us, including our voicemail line, which is 612-888-CAVE or 612-888-2283. Okay, so as always, Neil put together a wonderful list of articles this week. Thank you, Neil.
Yeah, thank you, Neil.
Next week. And one of the articles was the list of Easter eggs in the episode. I took a look through these. Did you, Chris?
I did.
Let's take a look through them.
Okay, so let's go. The first obvious one, Oliver Queen for Mayor, is a big arc in the comics at one point in time, and we're getting more setup on it this week, which I thought was great payoff after last week. We didn't get any talk of Oliver Queen for Mayor. Like, what happened with that? Right. We didn't touch it on the recap, but I love the fact that Oliver kind of lost his motivation for it when he got broken by the fact that Lance was working with Darhk, and it was Thea that kind of gave him that spark again, and Thea that listened to his speech that he gave in the office and kind of wrote his speech and galvanized the troops and got everyone back together. And I love that Thea put him back on path, considering he did that for her so many times when she was a kid.
So let's talk about a couple of things here, the speech and the obvious references to the intro of the show. It was just done in a very different manner. Now, Stephen Amell, in different Comic Cons, different panels, different interviews, he actually knows the speech at the beginning of the show by heart. So he will, if you ask him, he will go through it. So this was his way of doing it in a very different vibe, because it's not the deep voice, the foreboding that was at the beginning. It was very hopeful. It was very commanding, inspiring way. So that was great. So he did that. And then, of course, there was "You Have Failed the City" with Sergeant Warner, too.
You have failed this city. I love that line still.
And he did it so well.
Yeah. He has to do it a lot. I think he's used to it now.
Okay, what do we got next?
So next up, Lady Cop is actually a character from the comics. Rutina Wesley's character, Liza Warner, that was introduced earlier on. In the comics, she's the only survivor of the killer in boots who murdered who murdered Liza Warner's college roommates. And that's what caused her to join the police. She stopped a lot of criminals, and she always wanted to catch the killer that changed the course of her life. Eventually, she was the chief of police in Ivytown, which is where Oliver and Felicity were hiding out during the summer. Nice other callback there.
Yeah. Yeah, I really enjoyed reading this about this. I didn't know about Lady Cop, so this was a cool Easter egg to uncover for me.
Right. I don't know if they're going to have her show up in Legends tomorrow or anything, or if this is just establish a character so that we might be able to do something more with them later. Right.
So
because she did give herself up. So there is a thought of redemption for her.
Absolutely. It just as Quentin kind of, yeah, I could just see where it's going with Quentin being the insider and then ultimately getting, as we're predicting, ultimately getting killed in a few months here.
Oh, he's totally biting the bullet. But that's what they want us to think, so it's probably not going to happen is what I'm starting to think now.
I don't know. It was really looking like that this episode.
Right.
But I agree. It could be a MacGuffin.
A MacGuffin. I like it. So our next Easter egg, the Palmer Technologies employee that Curtis Holt thought was the Green Arrow, he threw out the name Neil Adams. And if you're a comic fan, you're going to know the name Neil Adams because he's one of the best artists ever to do Batman and Green Lantern comics. He's famous for his Batman run and his Green Lantern, Green Arrow run with Denny O'Neil. Neil Adams is one of the greatest artists of all time. And if you ever get a chance to see him at a con, he has so much beautiful artwork, prints and stuff he brings. It's just autographs and stuff are expensive from him. That's the problem.
Right. I've actually read comics with his art in it, and I do like his style.
He had a long run on both books. I mean, he is genre defining for the Green Lantern, Green Arrow books.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So we did get another nice Easter egg for a DC Comics artist. Oliver referenced Pabst Stadium, where he went to go watch baseball as a kid.
And by the way, I thought it was like Pabst Blue Ribbon beer, by the way.
That's what I thought at first, too. I was like, why are they talking about Pabst Blue Ribbon?
I know. Like that's all illegal now on TV.
That's true. It is. Unless it's on cable or like pay TV like HBO, I think.
Right.
So the baseball stadium, Pabst Stadium, is a reference to George Papp, who was an artist in the Green Arrow book for a while.
Awesome.
He's also, I missed this one. He's also the first one who introduced the Arrowcave, the Green Lantern's secret lair.
That's right.
That's
I think
cool.
we're on Lair 4.0, by the way, but that's a discussion for another time. I guess it could be 5.0 because if you actually go back to the cave, that's like 1. Oh, man.
Well, there's a few caves. If you go to the cave he had originally,
right,
unlike Lian Yu, he's got a cave there.
Yeah, right.
He had the foundry. He had his backup cave.
Yeah.
They had the cave they were staying at underneath Palmer Tech.
So
now they have the new cave. So this is Cave 5.0, I think.
Yep, I'll go with it. Cave 5.0.
Cave 5.0.
So thank you very much, George Papp, for introducing us to the lair.
Yeah, there you go. So we touched on earlier, one of the Easter eggs, just because it's a callback to earlier times in here. You have failed this city made its return, which was just awesome because I totally mark out for that.
Exactly. You failed this. And he said it so well. So good. So good.
I enjoyed it. One of the common recurring Easter eggs we get, News 52 showed back up again because they were doing the news coverage of his press announcement for running for mayor.
Totally saw it. I saw the two mics and I was thinking, are they going for the presidential thing? Because the presidential mic is actually a very expensive mic setup. It's two SM57s on a specific stand. It's like the stand alone is $400. I've actually looked into it, it was whatever, geeked out. So I was looking at the mic stand and I saw channel 52. I was like, oh, that's 52. That's 50. That's totally DC.
Yeah. News 52 is everywhere, though. We see it all the time in The Flash. Also, I assume we'll see it in Legends of Tomorrow as well.
Yeah, I assume so as well.
So I think I had one more Easter egg, and just the monologue he gives as the mayor is very reminiscent of his monologue we get at the opening of the show, which you touched on earlier.
Right. So great Easter eggs this time around. They're really, for the young crew that was doing this was a lot of great stuff that they were able to both pull off on camera and stay consistent with the storyline and give homages and tips of the hat. It was great. So moving on to I
was going to say that's all I got for the Easter eggs.
Right. So moving on into the news, we have a few stories, and first of all is a description of the next episode finally drops online.
That's right, and it's going to be interesting. The next episode description is for episode 6. It's called Lost Souls. Ray Palmer returns from the dead.
Nice.
So
I was thinking about this. The first half of the season into the mid-season finale has been about 8 or 9 episodes. So we are at episode 4 right now, or 5. This is 5, right?
This will be 5 next week with Constantine. Then episode 6, 2 weeks from now, as we record, will be with Ray Palmer.
So we're basically at the halfway point right now. So we got to get Ray back in order for him to go into Legends of Tomorrow.
Yes, because that's our mid-season replacement. So we have to have that set up well.
Right. So that'll be awesome. And then Wendy Miracle gives another interview behind the scenes in Beyond Redemption. She's been doing it for every episode, including before the season. We talked about it last episode, how we love her stuff. So go check out the show notes when you listen to this podcast, and you will see the link to the YouTube video and get a great thing by Wendy Miracle. And by the way, we talked about a big spoiler that we were going to say at the beginning of the podcast. So if you don't want to know the spoiler, thank you very much for listening. Fast forward a couple of minutes and plug your ears or whatever. So what do we got, Chris?
The big spoiler we've got here is that Wendy Miracle said Damian Darhk is not Felicity Smoke's father.
Is not.
She had made a comment at Comic-Con or something to that effect, where they figured that Felicity's father was rich and probably a supervillain. So everyone started going, "Oh, is Damian Darhk that?" And I guess she said, "No, that's not." And she goes, "I kind of wish I'd thought of that, though."
I know. And she kept on saying, well, maybe I shouldn't say anything because it would have been a great thing for you guys to talk about all season. But she said, no, we didn't think about it and we didn't do it. Actually, I was listening into a few writer showrunner panels, and I can't remember exactly where I heard this, but they were, it was the showrunner of Continuum. I was watching his basically exit interview with the main podcast that was covering Continuum. And he said, yeah, the way we do stories is there's a lot of great stories out there, but we never change anything in the middle of the season because we've already got set with the network what we're going to do throughout. So all these great fan theories that come about during the season, we are well past it. There's nothing that we can change. But he said what we do is we look at all the great fan theories that everybody's written down throughout the previous season, and we see what we can incorporate. And of course, because of legal rights and everything, we can't really take the whole theory and use it, because that would be intellectual property rights. So we have to morph it and whatever, but there's some great stuff that come out of there. And in this particular case, I know Wendy's like, oh, we still should have done it. That would have been awesome to tease that throughout there. But no, Felicity is not Damian's father, but she did mention a little bit about Felicity's father in the article, didn't she?
She did say they're planning on bringing Felicity's father in, and he is in fact evil. Evil. Yeah. So in the chat, I've seen both Cage and Sean and Adam are saying, oh, we want him to be the calculator. That would be cool. We'll see what happens. If it's right, you guys get the credit for picking it ahead of time.
Tips of the hat to you. We're not about having to choose it first. We're just about having fun talking about Arrow. So
the other theory is that it's Harrison Wells.
Which version? Oops, did I just spoil something?
Oh, no, we already knew about that if you've been watching this season. I just like it. I think it's a funny theory.
That's true. And there's an article covering the first look at Constantine and Arrow. We basically see a little bit in the trailer for next week, so I don't think there's any real need to discuss that.
I read a separate interview with Matt Ryan, and he goes, it was really weird at first slipping back on the coat and going back into that character. He goes, it took me a little bit until I was like, oh yes, now I feel like I'm walking like John. I have the swagger. I'm John again. I was like, that's pretty cool to see, because Matt Ryan nailed the character. So I'm just happy to see he gets one more chance to reprise it. And my conspiracy theory still says we'll see John Constantine show up more, i.e. Legends of Tomorrow, hopefully.
So there's a bunch of other cast and crew interviews with Stephen Amell, Andrew Kreisberg, Emily Bett Rickards, Paul Blackthorne, Wendy Miracle. I'm just going to throw all those links in the show notes so you guys can peruse them at your will. And we'll just leave them for your research this week. Okay. We do have feedback. Adam called in right after the episode, as he always did, and left us a voicemail. You ready to listen to it, Chris?
Let's do it.
Hey guys, this is Adam calling in with feedback on this week's episode, and I've got to start by just saying that Paul Blackthorne absolutely rocked it this week, and especially that first confrontation with Oliver, when Oliver said he knew that Quentin was working with Damian Darhk. He just nailed it. And I like that they referenced his heart problems, even though with everything that happened in this episode, he probably should have had some kind of attack. I do like where they're going with the Sara thing, though I was surprised that Laurel didn't tell Oliver at the end of the episode. Guessing that'll be the first scene next week. Not sure where they're going with all the technical problems in the new Arrowcave, whether that's just saying, hey, we're still getting stuff set up, or if it's like Felicity's phone problems last week leading to something bigger. And yeah, I'm wondering how many of Damian Darhk's people are infiltrating Oliver's campaign as his interns that Thea recruited. Oh, and when they restarted the Vigilante Task Force, Quentin specifically had them come up with some technology that would defeat his own daughter's device. That's kind of interesting, although I suppose that Sara used it on cops back in season 2, so they might have developed it back then. Can't wait to hear what you guys think. Talk to you later. Bye.
Adam, amazing voicemail. I think this is one of the best ones that you've given. Okay, so the heart condition, we didn't cover that. And obviously he was fainting it throughout the entire episode. And yeah, it's there. And actually that might ultimately be what kills him. I don't know if Damian's actually
That's what I was thinking, is that Damian might actually truly spare him because he still wants to use him, but it's the heart attack that kills him in the end.
But the one I really want to talk about is the interns. Oh, we totally
I
skipped
love that
over
theory.
Yeah. It's like the DJ when in the Verdant, and one of these interns have got to be it.
So how soon is it until one of those interns pulls a knife on Oliver and tries to kill him in his office? That's what I want to know.
You better be wearing Kevlar in the back.
Or just be paying more attention, I guess. I don't know. But that would be interesting. I also like Adam brought up a point I hadn't even thought of, why the police had technology to defeat the canary cry. I was like, oh yeah, I guess Sara did use it on the cops at the beginning of season 2.
Where all the windows in the cop station went out, yeah.
Yeah, because he started up the task force in season 1, I guess it was. So then they would have still been working through season 2 until they were disbanded. So the tech would have had to have been developed to stop the canary cry. My only question is, was Cisco the one that did it?
No, I don't think so. Because
I don't either.
Yeah. Cisco. Foiled by Cisco Tech.
Damn it, Cisco.
Damn you. All right. If you're listening to this show, we are part of a network. And if you like this sort of content, we got a bunch of content like it on the Gonna Geek Network. Right, Chris?
That we do. And I get to shamelessly self-promote this week because I guess the show we're plugging is the one I produce. It's called All Things Good and Nerdy. This week's episode was called More Star Wars, Please, because the Star Wars trailer dropped. And if you know me, huge Star Wars nerd. So we dissected the Star Wars trailer and also the Jessica Jones trailer that came out for the Netflix series. And then I think we touched on some other news that came out that week, but it all pales in comparison. Star Wars and Jessica Jones. So if you want to hear people go frame by frame, well, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but go scene by scene through the Star Wars trailer and geek out with their fan theories, check out this week's episode of All Things Good and Nerdy over at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
Couple of things really quick. First of all, tonight before the podcast, I signed up for Smuggler's Bounty.
I'm about to. I'm having a hard time resisting. The only thing making me almost not do it is they're doing a Mass Effect Special Edition loot crate, which is supposedly coming out next week, and it's $75. And I'm like, I think I'd rather do that than sign up for Smuggler's Bounty.
I know. I think I'm going to do that too. I think it's going to get me. Oh, and I'm considering buying an Xbox One. This is just, it's just a bad time of the year to be spending a lot of money.
SP, come play Halo 5 with me.
Oh, damn it.
Play Halo 5 with me.
Totally going to go get one tomorrow. Okay. So that was one. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is that, and I can't remember it about I watched the Supercut trailer. And
yes,
the Supercut, if you have not seen the Supercut trailer, and I believe Cajun Sean is the one who originally linked it to me, but I've seen it in other places as well. I watched that and I was like, oh, things are making total sense. Now, if I would have, I guess it kind of spoils you on how the flow of the story goes and stuff like that, because you do start putting things together that they don't want you to put together in the trailer separately. But I'm like, oh, I just want it. So I get it. And I'm like, oh, I would have paid money for the Supercut trailer. Definitely.
So I can send you another Supercut after this show. It is very similar, but it mixes in scenes from the original trilogy to do like a trailer that ties together arcs from the original trilogy into this trilogy with the prequel trilogy in there too. Like, when Kylo Ren's going, I will finish what you've started, you see a flashback to Anakin marching into the Jedi Temple with the clone troopers behind him, burning things down. It ends with him on fire going, I hate you, before it transitions to the next scene. It is so well done how they tie together what's going to be all three trilogies in this one, like 2.5 minute long trailer. I can send the link to anyone that wants to after the show. It is so good, and I was geeking out about it before the show. And I know all the Arrow fans stop talking to me about.
I was going to say, just a reminder to everybody, we're a DC podcast about the Arrow TV show, about the CW show Arrow. So we just like Star Wars too. So you can hit us up on Star Wars as well. Okay, next week, what do we got, Chris?
Next week, we have episode 5. It's called Haunted. Oliver calls in a favor from his old friend John Constantine when things with Sara take a turn for the worse. So obviously he finds out that Sara's all messed up in the head.
Absolutely.
The director is John Badham. The writers are Oscar Balderrama and Brian Ford Sullivan. It'll air November 4th, and I can't wait.
I can't wait either. And I like the description because via the trailer, we see that Oliver literally calls in a favor to his friend John Constantine.
I really want to know how they met, and I wonder if that comes up in the flashback or something.
That'd be great. Or next year. That'd be cool too.
Ooh,
in the flashbacks next year. Yeah. Because we still got a bunch of stuff we got to go through. Like
we do. Maybe they meet when Oliver goes to Russia, like our popular theory is.
Right. All right. So thank you very much, listeners. After the credits, we will open up the seat so you can come and give all your great theories and respond to everything that we've said during the podcast. If you have a burning need to, we will love the interaction there. But I want to thank you to all of our live listeners. We had a bunch of them this week. And on the Blab, we also stream live on YouTube and Spreaker. So go check us out there.
You can find all our contact information on the Gonna Geek Network at GonnaGeekNetwork.com, where you can find our forums and all of our other great shows. If you want to share your thoughts, head on over to our Facebook page, send in a tweet, or give us a call at 612-888-CAVE. That's 612-888-2283.
And don't forget about a 5-star review on iTunes. That'll really help out our searchability. It actually really does. Or like us on Facebook, and go check out our YouTube, which is at Gonna Geek on YouTube. So it's a really good episode this week. I say that a lot, but I mean, this week it's more than good. I can't find the verbiage for it. It was a great episode, and I can't wait till next week. So, any last words at Roundtable Nerds?
Mayor.
And I am on Twitter at Stargate Pioneer. And I will go with I'm trying to think of the name of the crash log. Log. I'll just go with log. This has been
This was the Starling Tribune. You can leave us feedback at GonnaGeek.com or check out our archive at StarlingTribune.com. Visit GonnaGeek.com for more podcasts. Music by Kevin MacLeod can be found at Incompetech.com. This podcast is not produced or maintained by the CW, Warner Brothers Television, CTV, or DC Comics. All characters, stories, and situations are the property of Time Warner. No infringement is intended. We will see you for the next episode of CW's Arrow.
Broadcast has been successfully terminated.
Dun, dun, dun. And
Spreaker folks, thanks for checking us out this week. If you want to catch the after show, make sure you catch us live at 9 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays on Blab.im.
I wanted to sing the log song from Ren and Stimpy when you used that. I wanted to be like, log, it's log. Da-da-da-da. But I didn't do it. I waited till the post show so I could treat people here to my wonderful singing voice like I did on the Gonna Geek Live podcast this week.
On Defiance, there was this stupid log that they brought around sets and everything. It was actually a piece that they had on the sets or whatever. So Sean and I on Voices of Defiance would always say, log!
Nice.
But that podcast doesn't exist anymore. Well, it does exist, but we're not making any new ones.
It exists in our hearts.
Yes, it does. All right. So we have an open seat if you want to come on board. Even if you have a low battery on your cell phone, go ahead and you have a quick couple of minutes. You can have your take on this episode of Arrow or anything else as well, because, you know, we're huge geek fans. Star Wars, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Flash.
Pretty much anything geeky.
Yeah. Comic books. Oh, Michael.
What's up, guys?
How goes it,
Michael,
man?
what's up?
Sorry I missed the show, man. I was bouncing around doing things.
Oh, no worries. It'll be out later anyways.
Yep.
Yeah, catch the replay.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do. I'm about to meet some of my friends in a few minutes to talk about Flash, and then right after that, I was going to listen to yours.
Awesome. So what do you have to say about Arrow?
It's finally picking up a little bit, I think.
This was a great episode.
I still kind of feel like he's
so.
kind of like pussified, for the lack of a better word. Like, he seems like kind of weak this season.
He's
Like his tone?
It's becoming a little bit more adult, both in the flashbacks and in reality. I mean, running for mayor, that's no chump. I mean, this is a big city. It might be a dying big city like Detroit, for instance, but it's still a big city.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think
I like Dark Arrow better.
You like what?
When he was dark and brooding, you know what I mean?
Well, did you see him yell out Quentin in Quentin's apartment?
Yeah, I did.
That was pretty serious there.
That's what I was saying. It's coming back a little bit. Whenever whoever is the person that dies, I hope it turns him back around to like how he was season 1.
I don't know if he's going to go back that far.
I know he's not, but that's what I want, though.
Yeah.
He's going to want to kill whoever's responsible.
I think they've made a big point of saying this is part of his heroic arc. He's turning into that hero that his first step isn't to kill someone now.
And they were saying that the crossover episodes for Arrow and Flash, I don't know if you guys talked about this, but instead of being 2 separate episode type of things, it's going to be basically just a 2-hour episode. It's going to continue right where the one leaves
I'm cool
off.
with that.
I've been wanting that through crossover episodes for various shows for a very long time, whether it was Stargate or whatever, that you have multiple shows going on in the same universe. Even simple shows like on Sci-Fi, like when Warehouse 13 and Eureka was crossing over, they were different stories. They were just bringing the characters back and forth. And no, I want a combined story. I want to see both crews working together.
They were saying that there's going to be up to 9 superheroes in those episodes.
Doesn't surprise me. They've been building stuff up so much. We're going to have our own, a Justice League-esque thing going soon.
It's going to be cool.
So I'll ask you real quick. It was asked to us during the show, when do you think Felicity and Dale are getting code names? Or do you think they will?
Probably before the end of the season, definitely. What they're going to be, I don't know. I mean, Oracle is being thrown around for Felicity, but we can't just steal everything from Batman.
Right.
I think so too.
That's been the popular fan theory for quite some time. But if she turns in at some point, okay, so we're talking about the Green Arrow, and if they stick true to the stories in the comics, which so far they pretty much have, Oliver is going to get together with Laurel at some point in time. So he's going to have to break up with Felicity at some point for something. So she could turn into the Oracle, and that causes the breakup because they really can't have a relationship at that point.
Maybe. Oh, I like Caden's name for Felicity, Firewall.
Yeah, I like that one too.
That's good. Good.
Yeah, so who's your guys' theories for the funeral?
Oh, I think it's Lance. But that's what they want us to think, so I'm guessing it'll end up being something else.
Yeah.
Right.
Cajun Sean thinks it's Thea.
He said Thea throughout the episode. Sean, yes, I see what you're saying. I just, with the viewership, okay, you look at the demographic of the show, right? It's on the CW network. They like the tweens, basically. Yeah. And to kill off Thea based on that, I would have a hard problem with them killing Thea. I mean, even Roy, when they got rid of him, they didn't kill him off. They just wrote him gently out of the show and said, okay, you can come back for an episode or 2 or whatever.
I would like to see Roy involved in Legends of Tomorrow.
A lot of people do. He's just not available.
Yeah, I don't think his contract is really set up for much.
What is he doing now?
He's doing movies and stuff, I think. He did a movie with The Rock. He was in that San Andreas movie.
Yeah, he was in it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, but I don't know what else he's doing. I think I'd heard he was going back to Teen Wolf, but I don't watch it, so I don't really know.
Oh, Teen Wolf's
Sorry,
great.
guys.
I just don't think the budget of Arrow can afford him at this point.
I guess he's too big now.
Yeah, his contract was only through like X number of episodes or something like that, and that ran out.
Yep.
You
got anything else to say about the episode, Michael?
The new Layer's fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, this is a clean show, remember?
Yeah,
yeah, the new Lair is amazing. We talked about that. I talked about the curve monitors versus the slate monitors. We talked about the lockers. We talked about how big it was. We talked about the salmon ladder being in there. It's all good.
Yeah, so you guys covered everything.
Well, I'm pretty sure there's 1 or 2 things we left out. So as you rewatch the replay, please don't hesitate to drop us a line or an email or whatever.
Cool. Well, I can't wait.
Thanks for dropping in.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, Michael. If anybody else wants to join in, the seat is now open. Go ahead. What if Oliver finds... Okay, so Steven in the chat says, what if Oliver finds about his son, and that kills the relationship with Felicity, and then it's the son's mother. I would totally love that because his son's mother is Anna Hopkins, who I absolutely... Yes, I want her back on the show. definitely want her back on the show. And Stephen, I don't know if you remember or not, or if you heard, but I actually talked to her because we were trying to line her up for an interview for Voices of Defiance. So I talked to her a couple weeks ago on here asking if we could bounce some theories off of her. And she said, well, I can't really do the theories. Oh, what if it's her in the grave? We hope not, because we really want to see her on the screen. And so does she. Matter of fact, she basically said that I really want to continue my role on the show whenever they call. So, yeah. But yeah, I guess it could be. I don't think he'd be teared up over that, though. And it's not the kid either, because the grave's too big. Okay, Cajun Sean's coming in. All right, Sean, what do you got, sir?
Hey guys.
Nice Star Wars shirt.
Yeah, I got a bunch of them. When y'all was starting to record, I had wrote down a few notes, and you actually brought up one, but Curtis Hope name drops Neil Adams.
Yep.
Yes.
The other thing I got is during that part, Felicity thought it was Curtis pranking her with the phone,
Mm-hmm.
and it turns he realizes that it's code that Palmer used in his suit.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, it's crash code, right? So it automatically uploaded to the server in the event of a catastrophic failure.
Yeah, but it is similar to that code. But I think they're going to get around to saying that it's Ray using the code as a way to communicate.
Well, that could be.
Ray, yeah, well, exactly. And that's what we're postulating, that he needs some help on a macro scale. He can't do everything on the micro scale that he's at right now. So he's reaching out. He's trying to reach out. The question is he reaching out in the Lair, or is that something different right now? And we'll see. So we didn't get to hear the entire message. I think that will come up at the beginning of the next episode. And if not, like OLLIE running for mayor, it'll be at the beginning of the following episode. But they're not going to let that lay for long. Matter of fact, he's coming back in 2 episodes, so they have to figure that out.
Right.
Yeah. The preview for next week, it kind of hints that Oliver finds out about Sara because she shows up at Verdant.
Okay.
It goes crazy because that's what I saw in the trailer.
It's
I couldn't
right.
tell where she was going into in the trailer, but that would make sense as a way to do it.
Because it looked like they're in a club.
And it was green. So, yeah, it looked like the central floor of the Verdant. Yeah, absolutely. Good call. Good call. I'd forgotten about that. We had postulated on during the podcast on she had, but no, she has a. I'll have to watch it again and see what her. Or
and it looks like she's wearing right now. And it looks like she's wearing a white leather trench coat.
Yeah. It's probably just something that she could easily grab as she was working her way towards the club or wherever it is she's going.
To me, that's Gem on Tron.
Nice.
That might be where the white costume comes from.
Could be, yeah.
Possibly.
But that's about it. I don't have much else.
Hold on a second. I'm going to look and see. Easiest way to get a lot of followers on social media is to own a very successful club. So that could go both ways. But I think in the trailer we do see it again. So absolutely. So that's it for you for this week, Sean? Once again, you think Thea's in the grave, right?
Yes.
Get this on.
I'm sticking with that until they reveal who it is.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, that's not a bad theory.
Because for most of his life in the comics, Green Arrow was an only child.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true. Oliver Queen was an only child. He had a few kids, I think, and he was in a relationship with the Black Canary, but I don't recall a sister in any of the incarnations of the Green Arrow.
I think somewheres before the New 52, it was revealed that his father slept around, and he
That
has
wouldn't surprise me.
he has a half sister.
I didn't know that. Well, I guess that's probably what Speedy really is that character manifested in this area.
I don't know. But yeah,
No, that's good theory. We'll see what happens. Honestly, at this point, I can't guess half the stuff they're going to do.
No, I mean, it's a good question of how much longer the series is going to last. I mean, we know we've got at least another year, but I don't know beyond that. I really, it's got to be how crowded the field is, what the ratings are, and it's really hard to tell until we get to about this time next year on if we're going to get another season or 2 seasons or whatever. And then what happens with the flashbacks. So if they start breaking up the flashbacks in like half years,
that's what I'm wondering. Once it goes past 5 years, what are they going to do about flashbacks? Are they going to just get rid of them, or are they going to focus on other characters?
See, they could even do flashbacks for other characters during that time frame that we haven't seen before, and they could go beyond the 5 years as well to when it was. I mean, they could bring back Moira. They could bring back Robert, Queen. They could bring back a lot of characters that existed at that time. Walter Steele.
In flashbacks, correct?
Yeah. Well, they could also just stretch out the flashbacks because there hasn't been a clear timeline established with them, as in each season takes place over the course of a year. We've just kind of assumed that.
No. They at the beginning when Oliver was found by the Baron, they said it was 3.
Oh, did they? Okay, I missed that one.
Yeah, I did. All right. Anything else, Sean?
Oh, did you get my tweet I sent for the previous episode?
We did see all your tweets, Sean. I just didn't put them in the show notes this time around.
It's
really quick.
From the previous episode when Malcolm was mentioning a sage.
Yeah.
That Thea can go see at the top of the mountain.
Right.
Did anybody else think it was Richard Dragon?
I did not.
No, that was a nice poll.
Theory.
Yeah.
But it ended up being, according to Malcolm, it ended up being a lie.
Yes, he was just screwing with her, basically. Well, not screwing with her, but giving her hope so he could set up his trap the next day.
That would have been a nice way to bring in the character, since he has so much influence with Oliver, Laurel, and all the characters with Green Arrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what they do. And I will do a better job next week of trying to bring in all the feedback into the episode. Sorry about this week, Sean. You guys everybody has given us some amazing tweets. We really appreciate it.
I just wish I would have thought of it when you was recording last week.
Oh, it's okay. I mean, I should have brought it in. So my bad on that. It's just
no, that's all right.
The available time goes down when you have real life stuff going on and you try to make it to the gym and you work a full-time job and podcast. So
yeah.
I wouldn't know. I'm still looking for a full-time job.
No.
Unemployment sucks.
Keeping one is hard too. So, but yes, good luck in your job search. Too. And at some point in time, I'm going to have to mow the grass one last time, which is something that Chris doesn't have to do.
I have a townhouse.
All right, Sean. Anything else, sir?
No.
Okay. Thanks a lot. We really
Star
appreciate
Wars.
it. Yeah.
Nice.
We'll see you next week, sir. Bye. All right. One last call. Is anybody else interested in coming in? I think we've had just about everybody on. All right. I think Chris has to go watch the finale of a football game. So
they're up by 27 right now.
So you have to drink a lot and get to sleep.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you very much, everybody, for coming by. We really appreciate it. Neil will be back next week, and we will have a fun time. If you have a comment about the podcast, don't hesitate to get in touch with us. And like Sean does, tweet us during the week. That is awesome. All right. Thanks, guys. That's it for this week. Bye.
Bye.